that's all right with everybody. There we go. And like I said, we're going to have about a half an hour of presentation, mostly from me, about SunShares and the basics of going solar and storage. And then we'll also be hearing from a few guests. Katie Escoffier is here to talk about her experience going solar. We also have a number of community partners here to talk about their programs that they offer that go along with solar and storage. And like I said, as your questions come up, please put those all in the Q&A box. And we have my colleague, Seth Kalman, here to make sure that all those questions get answered at the end. He's going to be monitoring moderating our Q&A session at the end. Great, so how we're going to spend the evening. I'm going to start off by talking about Bay Area SunShares and why you'd be interested in going solar and storage right now. And then we're going to be talking about how the SunShares program actually works. And after that, we'll talk about other things you may want to consider when you're going solar and opportunities that you have when you're powering your home with solar energy. So we're going to hear from Jeffrey Yang from Bay Ren about electrification, rebates, and incentives for Bay Area residents, and Annika Osborne, who's also here right now from Drive Clean Bay Area, about opportunities you have to get an electric vehicle. Then we'll talk about next steps if you are interested in going solar with SunShares. And then we will have a Q&A with our selected installers for the SunShares program. And I'll talk a little bit more about how we selected these installers this year. But first, I'll just briefly introduce Colin Swann of Skytech Solar, who's on the line, I believe. If you want to say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Thanks, Colin. And then we also have, I guess we have Adam Hart instead of Kyle tonight from Solar Technologies, if you want to greet.
Hello. Nice to meet everybody.
Cool. And then we also have, sorry, little thing is in my way, but Lucas LaFontaine from Infinity Energy.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you all so much for coming. And these are the experts that we have on hand to answer those questions that you have about solar and storage. And so I'll start off by introducing the SunShares program. So we are a solar and storage discount program. Every year we offer a 15% discount on solar panel installations and a 10% discount on battery storage to all Bay Area residents. And we do this by pooling the buying power of all 9 Bay Area counties to negotiate a really good price for all of our participants. And we're a nonprofit program, so our goal is really to make clean energy more accessible and affordable to Bay Area residents in order to make our region more sustainable and resilient. And this is a program we do every year. So from September 1st to November 30th of 2021, you can sign up with SunShares to go solar and storage through us. And if for whatever reason this doesn't turn out to be your year, we do this every year. So you'll have the opportunity again. And we're run by the Business Council on Climate Change, which is a nonprofit organization in San Francisco, membership based. And our mission is really to incubate, scale, and share climate solutions in the Bay Area. And so SunShares is just one of the programs that we have that's all about accelerating really effective climate solutions, such as clean energy and building resilience. And you can see here a number of our corporate and municipal members who we do this work with. And before I really get started, I would love to know from you what brought you here tonight. So if you're here because you just want to learn something new, or you're really seriously considering getting solar panels or battery storage, if you want to just put into the chat really quickly what exactly brought you here and why you're interested in this tonight, I would love to know, just to kind of get to know who's in the audience and what your interests are. So if you want to put that in the chat, go ahead. Yeah, so we have people considering solar panels. Definitely a lot of solar panel discussion going to happen tonight, so that would be great. Yeah, a lot of questions about being at different stages of the solar process, adding more or adding a battery. Concern about climate change. I think that's something that we're all feeling right now. Got some early adopters that need to replace their panels. So yeah, this is really awesome. And I'm really happy to have you all here at such different stages and levels of interest in the process, because we really do have something to offer all of you. So I'm going to dive into my presentation and start off with why you might be interested in learning about these topics right now, and especially why now is a time to go solar. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but one of the biggest ones is financial. So Right now, if you go solar until the end of 2022, you can get a 26% federal solar tax credit on your income taxes. And this is something that was just extended. It was supposed to end after the end of 2021, but the Biden administration extended it because that's how important it is to encourage people to go solar right now. That's among other financial benefits, obviously, going solar. And also, as we all know, this is a really critical time for climate action, and anything that we can do to reduce or eliminate greenhouse gas emissions right now is really, really important and impactful. So now's a really great time to be considering that if you have the option. And then also, especially as we recover from the economic impacts of COVID, going solar is a really great way to support Bay Area jobs and businesses because the clean energy industry and solar in particular really drives a lot of economic growth and support for our communities. And then finally, in the Bay Area, we all know climate change is affecting us every day, whether it's with smoke or power outages. And going solar can really help build resilience, not just for your home, but our whole community by decentralizing our energy system and making sure that we have electricity being produced near where we use it and where we live. So those are just some of the many good reasons to go solar now. And then specifically, why would you be interested or consider adding battery storage to that solar system? And one of the biggest reasons that a lot of people are interested in this is home resilience. So if you do have both a battery and solar panels, you'll be able to keep your lights on and your electricity running when the power goes out or there's a public safety power shutoff from PG&E. And if you do need that battery to be able to keep running that stored energy and then discharge it into your home. And if you just have solar panels, even if they're working, you won't be able to have power in your home in that case. So that's one of the big reasons people are very interested in getting batteries or adding batteries to existing systems. Batteries can also, depending on how you set them up, provide additional savings if you are going solar. So you can set up your batteries to charge from the grid when energy is cheapest with our time of use rates that we have now. And then you can have them discharge when energy is at its most expensive, which helps you offset more of your electricity bill. And finally, batteries really support renewable energy by making it so that we can use solar energy when the sun isn't shining or use wind energy when the wind isn't blowing by storing it for other times of the day or the week. So that really helps us build a more sustainable energy system. And specifically, why should you be interested in doing this with SunShares rather than going directly through an installer or doing this research on your own? And we offer a few things that I think really sets us apart from other options for this process. And first of all is our installers. So we put our installers through the very rigorous pre-vetting and evaluation process to make sure that they're really offering the most quality service. And our installers are really oriented towards helping you make the best decision for you. You won't get pressured into anything that's not right. It's all about you understanding your options and knowing that what you're getting is the best option for your home. And in addition, we also offer the discounts that I mentioned. We offer a 15% discount on turnkey solar installation. So what that term turnkey means is that all of our prices include the whole cost of installation. And then including things like equipment and permitting and labor. And then we also offer a 10% discount on battery storage. And then finally with SunShares, you get to compare multiple options. And that's something that's always recommended when you're going solar. But with SunShares, you get to compare up to 3 proposals. You can get a proposal from each of our 3 installers, and without having to commit to going solar with any of them or pay any money, you can see 3 visions of what solar and storage could look like with your home. And finally, we're a very tried and tested program. So since 2016, SunShares has installed over 4.5 megawatts of solar on 900 people's homes in the Bay Area. We've installed over 100 battery storage units. So we really have a lot of experience in this area and can help you out with what you're interested in. And now we're just gonna switch gears and hear from one of our past participants, Katie Escoffier, about what it was like for her to go solar with SunShares. And if you want to take it away, let me know when you want me
Okay,
to switch
quick,
slides.
get rid of that picture because my hair is a different color. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, it is a different color.
I decided to go gray during during COVID. These are my two EVs, and I used this for a previous panel where we were talking about EVs, but I love my license plate. I can't believe I managed to get it that says EV plus PV, because that combination is so important. It doesn't do you much good to have an EV if you're charging it with coal-fired power plants. So if you could get rid of that picture. So this is my house. So I'm Katie. I was sustainability manager at Genentech, and when I was there, we offered SunShares every year to our employees through our employee engagement program. And it was a fabulous program, and I always felt left out because we already had solar on our old house. So we bought this new house in 2016. And in September of 2016, right when SunShares opened up, we jumped on it to get solar panels. Now, it doesn't look like there are very many solar panels there, and I'm wondering if regulations have changed. But because we didn't have any really purely south-facing roofs, we had to put solar panels everywhere with microinverters so that they would all work. And they discovered midway through the permitting process this rule that you had to be 3 feet, you had to have a 3-foot walking space along the ridge line of the house. So it really limited the number of solar panels we have. We're still trying to figure out if we can maybe add more somewhere, but that is our solar setup. And this was all done through SunShares. We contacted, I think there might have only been 2 vendors at the time, and only one of them, our house is in Santa Cruz, only one of them was able to go outside the 9 counties. We're kind of cheating because SunShares works within the 9 Bay Area counties, and I guess Santa Cruz isn't part of the Bay Area. So Peterson Dean did ours, and they were willing to come down and do our solar panels for us. And they took care of everything. I mean, permitting and getting PG&E to turn everything on. It was all pretty quick. We started in September and we were up and running in early March. We had the okay to get started. A lot of steps, rebates all taken care of. It was a really easy process, and I highly recommend it if you have 1 or 2. There's the plans showing where our roof line is and how they had to do the setbacks. If you're thinking about doing solar, one thing that they often do is they try to size it for your usage. In our old house, we sized it for our current usage and didn't realize we'd be getting an electric car the next year. And then we really needed more solar panels. In this house, since we were kind of limited in roof space, we just said, put as many on as you can. And so that made it easy. They didn't have to look at our old PG&E bills and figure out where we could get the biggest bang for our buck. And I highly recommend just maxing out no matter what, because everybody's going to have electric cars in the future, even if you don't have one now. And it's ideal to be able to charge those with your solar. I can't think, Maggie, what am I forgetting? Anything else you want me to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, if there's just anything else about the process that you found helpful or that you learned that you weren't expecting, but I think you get a great rundown of how it went.
Yeah, I guess the one thing is that SunShares wasn't offering batteries at the time, so we got a battery later, and we just had a power outage yesterday. And we didn't even notice. It was half an hour long, and the TV didn't even flicker or anything. It's just amazing how seamless it is, and how great it is for power outages and for being able to, I guess, yeah, save a little money, but they're expensive on the front end. But being able to use energy at the right time of day for overall grid health is really important to me. The fact that I can use battery power when the grid needs me to do it, so that they're not powering up gas-fired power plants. And that's a key part of why I like having batteries.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And we're going to talk now about how you guys can achieve this through SunShares and how we can provide you with this service. So essentially what we offer with SunShares in 2021, and we know, like you said, that a lot of you are at different stages of this process. So you want to make sure that you know that you can really access all of these, is that so you can start off by going solar, getting solar panels in your house and getting those benefits from generating your own energy and supplying your house with renewable energy. Through SunShares, you can also get solar panels and install a battery system at the same time. And so that'll get you that benefit of resilience to power outage, like Katie was mentioning, in addition to generating clean energy for your home. And finally, if you already have solar, we also offer the option to add a battery system to your solar panels. They can store the energy that you're generating, and you can use it when there's an outage. And so we'll be talking about how you can do all these things. I'm curious to know from you which option you're most interested in learning more about. So I'm going to do a little poll if you guys want to vote. Just which of these options you're most interested in and considering. And if you don't know, that's fine. You can put that in as well. Cool. Thank you all so much for participating. This is really great information for us, and will definitely guide the rest of the presentation. Awesome. So it's looking like I'm just going to end the poll now. So it looks like a lot of people, a pretty vast majority, are interested in solar and storage. And I think that is really reflective of kind of where we're at now with wanting that sustainability and resilience. And you can get all these options with all three of our selected installers. Infinity Energy, Skytech Solar, and Solar Technologies have really been selected for their expertise in all of these areas. So with SunShares, if you do want to go solar and storage and take advantage of those discounts that we've negotiated, this process really starts when you sign up at our website. So when you go to our website, you can select which of our three installers, whether you want to hear from all three or just one or two, which one of our installers you want to contact you and start the process of creating a solar proposal. And they'll contact you within 5 to 7 days of you signing up. And they will conduct a virtual roof evaluation just to look at what the situation is. And not in all cases, but in many cases, they'll also conduct a contactless site visit where they'll come to your home and make sure that the situation matches what they see virtually. And so once that happens, it's your turn to receive and review your solar proposals. If you've contacted and been working with multiple installers, you have the chance to compare your options. And again, I want to emphasize there's absolutely no obligation with SunShares. So you can look at all of these proposals and learn about your options and decide that doesn't work for you. But if one of them does really interest you enough, you can sign a contract with SunShares by December 31st of 2021 to get that SunShares discount. And like Katie said, it's about a 4 to 6 month process, we usually say. So your installation should be done by spring 2022. And that's sort of how the process works with SunShares. And so in the process of actually designing your system and creating your proposal, your installer will evaluate a few things about your home. So they'll start off by looking at sort of the most important thing is your roof exposure to sunlight, right? Like Katie was saying, that can be with the orientation of your roof or whether there's a lot of shade or not. And that'll be for the purpose of both determining whether solar is viable for your home and then also designing it so that your system can maximize how that you're capturing that energy to power your home. They'll also look at the type of your roof itself, what it's made of, as well as the angle and also the condition of your roof. This is something that comes up a lot in solar installations because obviously roofs do have a lifespan and you don't want to install a new solar system on a roof that will have to be replaced in a few months. So often our solar installers, if your roof does need to be replaced, can connect you with roofing contractors, and that can all be part of the same process. Then finally, your installer will look at your energy usage with you to determine how to correctly size your system so that you're offsetting the optimal amount of your energy usage. And if you're interested in battery storage, you'll also talk with the installer about the essential loads in your home, which basically means what you want that battery to be able to power in the case of an outage. And in the case of batteries, this is a really rapidly growing area. So there are a lot of new options out there with varying different characteristics. And there's some batteries that have more brand recognition, but there also are a lot of other quality options out there. And so I think it's good to just talk about how you can know the difference between these and sort of how to make a decision about what model will work best for you. And it's a little bit technical, so just want to re-emphasize that we have a lot of experts here that can answer all of your questions, and you don't have to fully know all of this. But a really good thing to look at, first of all, is the maximum usable capacity of your battery. So that's basically how much energy can be stored in that battery. And as a result, how long you can power your home with that battery. So the larger the capacity, the longer that it will be able to provide energy to your home. Another good characteristic to look into when looking at different battery models is the power rating. So that's how much electricity can be actually discharged from your battery at any one time. And I think a good way to think about it is like, if you want your battery to be able to power your multiple refrigerators and a piece of medical equipment all at the same time, you'll want a much higher power rating than if you just want to be able to charge your phone and leave the light on and maybe watch TV. So that's a good way to sort of think about that distinction and what might be best for you. And then finally, another good thing to look at is the round trip efficiency of the battery. And so in any electrical transfer, energy is lost, but that does vary by model. And so that's basically the percentage of electricity that is fed into your battery that can actually be discharged out of it. So these are all good things to look at, and your installers are really the experts that will help you through making these types of decisions. And many people, just like us, are interested in making their homes more resilient. As a result, there is a very high demand for battery storage systems. At the same time, batteries, like other commodities, are suffering from supply chain issues due to COVID. And this is all just to say that the timeline can be a bit delayed compared to your solar installation. And this does vary based on the model that you choose. Different manufacturers have different constraints, and your installers can guide you through your options there. But it's just good to keep in mind for your expectations that there can be a bit of a wait, but also know that that's not anything to deter you from going through this process, because first of all, your solar system can be installed before your batteries arrive, depending on your situation. And our installers have been dealing with these delays for over a year now, so they have a very good process for dealing with this and making sure that you get what you're planning to do. So just talk to the installer that you work with about your options, and they'll be able to help you out with that. And so now, before we move on to a Q&A, I want to talk about other clean energy options that are available in the Bay Area. And when you're going solar, you always want to, exactly like Katie was saying, consider your future energy needs, whether you're going to be adding an electric load or even reducing your electric usage with new efficiency measures. And especially now, as especially in the Bay Area, we're moving towards decarbonizing our buildings by switching from gas to electric powered appliances and other things in our homes. This is actually a really great opportunity if you're going solar to make the most of your solar energy and do this in the most cost-effective way possible by electrifying at the same time as you go solar. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. Firstly, you can consider switching to electric appliances, such as induction cooktop. And you can also consider improving your home's energy efficiency through doing things like installation. And we're really lucky in the Bay Area to have programs and rebates to support these actions, similar to SunShares. And tonight we have a really special guest, Jeffrey Liang, here to talk about Bay Ren's electrification and efficiency rebates. And moving on to that in a moment. And then we also, going solar, as Katie mentioned, is a really great time to think about adding electric loads like electric vehicles. So we're going to start off and have Jeffrey jump in and talk about Bay Ren and what they do and what they offer homeowners.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maggie. like Maggie says, it's really, as you do solar, it's actually a really good time to also look at efficiency. I almost think of them go together like peanut butter and jelly, because especially as you want, think about how much solar you want to add, you want to make sure you have it as efficient, your home as efficient as possible, so you're not oversizing your solar system. So this is where we come in. I represent BayREN, which stands for Bay Area Regional Energy Network. We are a collaboration of these 9 counties that you see here on the map, and we receive funds from the California Public Utilities Commission to run energy efficiency programs. So we run a couple different ones, but the one that I manage is the single family program. Next slide. And so as Maggie mentioned, this is a good time as you're looking at your house to consider doing these things together, because they actually work together to make your house more comfortable and healthy, as well as reduce your energy bill. I personally moved in, and we bought our house last year, almost a year ago, and we're going through some renovations, and I am doing all these electrification and all these things, and with the hope of being able to figure out what my loads are, reduce the energy that we do need, and then figure out, is there any electric things that we want to add to our grid or our panel, like induction stoves or heat pump water heaters? And then after that, be able to figure out, okay, this is the amount of solar I need to be essentially, have all of that provided through solar. And so basically that's what we want to do. Our program offers $5,000 in rebates for energy efficiency and electrification. I should have added that on. But these are the things that make your house more comfortable, like insulation. You can switch to electrifying some of your appliances, like you can switch to heat pumps and heat pump water heaters runs on electricity rather than gas. So you could potentially eliminate combustion sources in your house, and that's actually really great for health and safety. I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and that's part of my motivation, because anytime you have gas in the home, you can be creating carbon monoxide and other asthmagens in the home. So in this program, we have trained and vetted participating contractors that do that rebate paperwork for you. So as long as you find one, they will do all that paperwork and you get the check at the end, which is great. And we actually have more rebates that are coming for electrification in the coming months. So you can find out more. We know it can be confusing, so that's why we have this Home Energy Advisor service. That number there, 866-878-6008, is you would reach a live person, or you can leave a message and they will call you back and they can walk you through the whole process, which is great because then you don't have to worry about that. And then they will also refer you to complementary programs such as SunShares and other EV programs if you're interested in that. So I didn't want to take too long, just wanted to let you know that as you're looking at what energy, like looking at putting in solar, think about also the energy efficiency part so you can pair them together and we can help you through that whole process. And I can stay on for a few more questions at the end.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for sharing that. And I will definitely be sending the link to BayREN services in a follow-up email, and you can also find them on our website. And now I will give the floor to Annika to talk to us about Drive Clean Bay Area's EV programs that they're offering right now. Is Annika here?
Thank you, Maggie. My name is Annika Osborne, and I'm with Cool the Earth, an environmental nonprofit with a mission to dramatically reduce carbon emissions and air pollution. Our Drive Clean Bay Area collaboration provides EV education and engagement in workplaces and for the community. I want to thank Maggie and SunShares for inviting me to talk about making the switch to driving electric and our Drive Clean offerings. So when you're an EV driver, there's nothing better than plugging into clean solar energy from your own roof. We got solar panels last year and charged 2 EVs and our energy bills have reduced dramatically. Next. So there are many benefits to driving electric. Remember those blue skies and the clean air last year when we stopped driving? Our passenger vehicles are the single largest source of emissions in the Bay Area, representing up to 50% of our individual carbon footprints. So with an EV, we can have a big impact on the earth by decreasing carbon emissions and air pollution. And when you make the switch, there's no compromise. Now there's an EV for every lifestyle and budget. And when you drive electric, you'll save time, money, and enjoy the ride just a little bit more. Next. So some reasons for the low cost of driving electric are that during the past 5 to 10 years, EV battery prices have dropped dramatically. So prices have really come down. There are government incentives of up to $11,000 available for most vehicles. Filling your tank with gasoline can be 4 to 5 times more expensive than charging with clean electricity. And there's no scheduled maintenance for EVs. So the average EV driver pays 40% of what other drivers pay. It's basically the windshield washer fluid in the tires that cost. And twice a year, Drive Clean Bay Area partners with Cartelligent, a car concierge service for EV discounts. Next. So this fall, there are discounts on solar and discounts on EVs. So Drive Clean Bay Area is currently offering an EV discount campaign with our partner Cartelligent to give consumers a no-hassle experience and great pricing on EVs. EV discounts are available for the Volkswagen ID4, the Audi e-tron, and the BMW X5 through October 15th. At the end of last year, when we ran our campaign, we were able to help 100 individuals switch to driving electric with discounts between $750 and $2,500, in addition to government and other manufacturer incentives. And the savings are similar this time around. And to get started with EV discounts, you'll sign up on our EV discount campaign page, which I will drop in the chat in just a moment. Next. So in addition to our EV discount campaigns, we also offer weekly Zoom webinars, EV 101s for EV basics and EV 102s to help new drivers transition smoothly, both with Q&A. We have a robust website highlighting available and coming EVs, a how-to EV section, including steps to driving electric and buying and driving guides. And we host EV car shows so consumers can check out new and some of the most popular EVs out there and talk to EV owners about driving electric. We have one coming up this Sunday at College of Marin, if any of you are located up in Marin County or in the city. And we also partner with other EV nonprofits throughout the Bay Area, and their fall EV car shows are listed on our events page. So there are lots of in-person events going on in the next couple of weeks. We happen to be embarking on National Drive Electric Week. So there are lots of events out there. So check out our events page. We hope that you'll sign up with Drive Clean Bay Area so you can take part in our programs and we can help you go electric. I'll drop a few links in the chat so that you can connect with us, and feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A box. Thanks again, Maggie, and to the SunShares program team for your partnership.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annika. And so I will just finish up by letting you guys know that if you can't go solar for any reason, whether you are a renter or your homeowner's home isn't suitable for solar, all Bay Area residents do have the option to receive 100% renewable electricity from your electricity provider. And this is something you can do with both PG&E or your local community choice aggregation, or CCA for short. And you can see on this map of CCAs that almost all Bay Area residents are covered by one CCA or another. And CCAs basically are organizations, nonprofit organizations formed by local governments to provide an alternative to investor-owned utilities. And because we're in the Bay Area, most of our CCAs are very focused on providing a cleaner supply of energy than PG&E does. And so if you want to opt up from your current service, essentially what that means is that you'll be paying an average of $3 to $5 extra per month on your electricity bill to receive a higher supply of renewable energy, up to 100% on offer from all these CCAs. And it's very easy to upgrade online. You can just have your electricity bill handy and enter that information and pretty much immediately start receiving that renewable energy. And this is also something you can sign up for more information about at our website. So we provide that option through our program as well. So some next steps, if you are interested in exploring going solar and storage with us, first of all, sign up at bayareasunshares.org. I know we have a lot of questions here at our event, but the best people to ask your questions to are our installers directly. So anytime between now and November 30th, you can sign up and start that conversation and start that process with our installers. In the meantime, I really recommend that you explore your options on our website. We have all of our equipment offerings and our pricing up there for you guys to review. And like I said, you have until December 31st to review your proposals and sign a contract if you do want to do so. And again, there's no obligation to do so. It's all about you understanding your options and getting to know what it could look like for your home. And again, like I said, those installations are most likely going to be completed in spring 2022. And finally, as a next step, if you find this to be a valuable opportunity that someone you know may be interested in, I really encourage you to spread the word, whether it's your neighbor, your family member, your coworker. Word of mouth is the most effective way to encourage people to go solar. So I really encourage you to spread that link around to anybody you think might be interested. And if you do want to sign up, this is how it will look like when you go to that link, which I'll put in the chat in a moment. You'll see that big sign up button right there. You'll be asked to put some contact information so that we can reach out to you and get that proposals process started. You'll also be asked which of our offerings interest you. So again, that's like solar and battery storage, or just battery storage, and also which of our installers you want to hear from. So you can choose all three of our installers, or just two, or just one. And with that, I will turn it over to our selected installers for a Q&A. And I will stop sharing my screen so that we can all see each other. And I'm now going to introduce Seth Kalman, who's my colleague at BC3, who will be monitoring the Q&A for us. And again, I'll introduce our three installer representatives. We have Lucas LaFontaine from Infinity Energy, Colin Swann from Skytech Solar, and Adam Hart, who's representing Solar Technologies. So take it away, Seth, with the questions that have been coming up in the Q&A.
Okay, thanks, Maggie. Yeah, lots of great questions coming in, really running the gamut from questions about exposure and issues with, is my house gonna get enough sun, to is my roof okay, questions about rebates, locations, warranty, financing, and everything that is populated right now in that Q&A. We're going to try and get to it. And I saw some questions in the chat too that we'll try to get to as well. It's easier if you put the questions in the Q&A. We're more likely to see them than in the chat where they do kind of disappear. So just a heads up on that. Let's start with a question, and maybe Adam, you could take this first question and we'll just kind of cycle through Adam, Lucas, and Colin as we have questions come up. But if you don't have a lot, this is a question about sun exposure. So if you don't have a lot of exposure, is there any value to installing, for example, when your best exposure is to the east or west? And similarly, and kind of related, how important is the sun? Like if you live out in the Sunset or in West San Francisco, does it still make sense to go solar?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a good question. Obviously, a south-facing roof is ideal. That's the best with no shade on it. That's where you can see your best, payback period is how we kind of talk about finances in the solar world. You might see a payback as low as, let's say 4 to 5 years with a perfect south-facing roof. But if all you have is, let's say, an east or a west-facing roof, or even just a north-facing roof, you can still have a very, very attractive payback on your array. Actually, having a west-facing roof isn't that bad at all because you're producing a lot of power during peak hours when power is the most expensive. So it's really not necessarily a huge difference. It's still absolutely feasible to go solar if all you have are, east or west or even north facing roofs. Now, as far as if you're up in San Francisco, I know like if you're in, especially on the west side of the city, it is a little bit foggier. You do get a little bit less overall sun as you do down where I'm at, like in San Jose, year round. But solar can still absolutely be something that's financially feasible for you because the payback periods are excellent because, as we all know, power from PG&E is pretty expensive these days.
thanks, Adam. And Lucas or Colin, if you have anything to add to that, please go ahead.
This is Colin with Skytech Solar. We installed a lot of solar on the west part of San Francisco with all that fog, and really the amount of energy that they're getting succeeded what we told them they would get. It turned out that the difference between putting solar in the wet, where it's foggy, as opposed to, let's say, Oakland, where it's sunny most of the time, is just you lose maybe a couple of percentage of the amount of energy that you get in Oakland, because the sun still gets through that fog.
Awesome. Well, so there you have it. You can go solar. You don't need a south-facing roof. If you're in West San Francisco, it's okay. You can still go solar. Very cool and good news for us all. And then I think, another sort of similar question in terms of barriers that people might be perceiving is around roofs, right? So, a question that's coming in is there any problem installing on metal or tile roofs? Are you able to install on those? And also, do you need to get your roof checked before installing solar? And is that part of the process? And what if you do need to buy a new roof? What happens then? And maybe Lucas, if you could start us off with that.
It's a great question. Obviously, roofing and the type of methods that we all install on are going to be different for every installer. A part of all of our processes is an inspection of your roof, understanding what we're working with from a construction basis, and if we can or cannot install on that type of material. At Infinity Energy, we're not only a solar contractor, we are also a roofing contractor. So when it comes time to looking or needing or replacing a roof or the type of material that you have, most of them we can install on. We always encourage you to obviously talk to the rest of us in regards to our processes and what we can and cannot install. But for the most part, there's not a roof that anyone can't install solar on. There just may be some limitations or different types of installation methods we would recommend.
Colin or Adam, do you have anything to add to any of that?
No, that's pretty much it.
Great. Okay. I muted myself, sorry. So there's workarounds for roofs, and it sounds like what you have it will most likely work. So that's great. And then a question that's coming up a lot I'm seeing as well is around rebates and tax credits. So can I take advantage of federal rebates if I don't live in my house is a question that's coming up. Also, is there a deadline on when these panels need to be installed for the federal rebate? Is something someone else was asking. And then finally, is there a federal tax credit for the battery too? So Colin, is that a question that
yeah, I can answer that.
Thanks.
The federal tax credit is 26%. It does cover the battery as well as the solar panels. And in fact, you can check with your accountant or whatever, but if you do need to upgrade your electrical system, like your main service panel, or for whatever reason, where you're placing the panels on a particular side of the roof, it needs to be redone. Those two can also be added in to get your federal tax credit. So it's kind of a good time to upgrade your home at the same time. Again, we're not accountants, though. Check with your accountant, but we can definitely say on the battery and on the solar panels, it's 26% this year. I've got a feeling with the Biden administration that they may extend that 26% next year, but nothing's guaranteed. There is due to drop down to, I believe it's 21%. I'm not 100% on that because I'm trying to stay positive that they'll keep the 26%. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Or am I missing anything?
I think you covered the bases. Does anyone have anything
Certainly.
to add?
If I can add a few things to that.
Sure.
Seeing a couple of the questions that came by, just to clarify, the federal tax credit itself is 26%, and it is a tax credit. Always consult your own tax professional and CPA on how that can be used for you. The caveat between solar and energy storage tax credits is battery by itself without solar does not today qualify for the federal tax credit. It will qualify for the federal tax credit if it's installed with solar or if you're attaching it to an existing solar system. So just to be clear on that. Additionally, when it comes to how or where you classify or claim that federal tax credit, your solar system does have to be installed in that tax year. So there is kind of a little bit of urgency, and always consult the contractors ourselves of timelines of when you're needing that. If you're needing that tax credit this year, sooner is better than later on making a decision of how you move forward, so we can try and squeeze you in within those timeframes. The later you wait and you're moving into next year, if your system gets installed and turned on in February, March, you'll be claiming that tax credit in the year of 2022.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it's my understanding that most folks who'd be signing up for SunShares now would be installing in 2022. Is that right, Maggie?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, got it. So I think if you're attending here, it would be a fair assumption that your system's probably not coming online until 2022, but we'll see. So some other questions that I'm seeing. Oh, just a general question on sort of placement of the panels themselves is, can solar panels be installed on the ground or on a garage or outbuilding, or does it have to be on a roof? Adam, do you have an answer for us on that?
Yeah, sure. So usually on any outbuilding or a garage is typically not a problem. Sometimes it can complicate the installation a little bit because we'll have to install a second monitoring device on site, like in the garage. That might be separate from the main house monitoring, but usually not a problem. As far as ground mounts, if you have like a large yard or piece of property where you have a sunny location and you wanted to do something completely off the roof, our company, unfortunately, we do not do those anymore, but I know that Infinity or Skytech I'll throw this to you guys. I don't know if you guys are doing ground mounts. Those are certainly a good option for a lot of people if you don't have the roof space for it. But yeah, are you guys currently offering those?
With Skytech, we've looked into it, and we had done it in the past, but the more and more we get into it with new customers, they realize about costing and the way it's going to look in their garden. And some panels that are out there right now look really very pretty, good to look at, and people don't mind it going on the roof. So we recommend it on the roof. We will do it, but it will cost more to do it on the ground.
Same from Infinity standpoint. Ground mounts are a solution that we can provide, but as you can imagine, the additional labor and material behind installing on the ground versus the roof does add some additional costs.
Okay, so ground installations are possible, but may require a little bit more upfront cost for some of the structures and the labor involved, it sounds like. So that's good to know for those of you that are interested. Also, there's a clarification in the comments here. So the tax credit in 2022, the federal tax credit will be 26%, and then it steps down to 22% in 2023. So good to know. That makes this the year to get it if you want to really maximize the tax credit that you'll get out of your system. Let's see. Oh, here's just a very quick and specific question. I think, Maggie, this one would be for you. Is Scotts Valley covered in Santa Cruz County?
Yeah, so Scott, like Katie was saying, Santa Cruz County isn't technically within the 9 counties of the Bay Area that we negotiate our based on SunShares discount for. But I do know that I think all of our installers cover Santa Cruz County, but perhaps with a travel adder. So I would recommend that you reach out to them and see what their rates would be for that. You may not get the exact same SunShares discount, but they definitely can still provide you the same service.
Okay, awesome. So it is still an option to go solar in Santa Cruz County. Deal. It's not just the Bay. And with these good companies too. Yeah, they were getting questions on financing and price ranges. So I think maybe this is a good time to hit on that. So folks are thinking about you know, what is financially viable for them and how they can make this work. And so Colin, maybe we'll go to you for the question of just in general, what is, you know, an average cost range that we're looking for a solar and battery install, and if you can split those up, that might be helpful too. And also what sort of financing options are available, and we can really run through all of the installers here to the extent that you guys do vary a little bit.
Yeah, so as far as costing goes, you know, on the website, it kind of gives a lot of our pricing that we have with our, and it depends also on the size of the system. The way we price things at Skytech, the larger the system, the cheaper per watt we charge. An average size system we find in the Bay Area is around probably 5.4, 5.5 kilowatt system. Batteries, you know, range anywhere from 13,000 for one battery to, you know, maybe 16 or 17,000 in this particular program with the discounts. Again, on the SunShares page, it kind of lays out some pricing per watt and so forth. As far as financing goes, I would, we always recommend that, you know, in the long run, having solar, whether you do it through a lease or through a loan, will still work out to be cheaper than staying, you know, and the return on investment is still there than not having solar. We always recommend that customers should go first to their own bank and try and get a loan through them. That'll be probably the best rates they can find. Otherwise, we have a couple of credit unions that we have used, which we find are also the rates are very good that they offer. You will find some lending programs out there, and they have things called a broker's fee, which is about 18%. And what a lot of brokers do is they tack that onto the actual price of the solar. So in some ways, you probably might be better off, as I said, going through your own bank, or, you know, we can recommend some credit unions to go through if you need financing. There are lease programs out there. We don't do them, but maybe some of the other installers, I believe, here do lease programs, and they can probably talk about that.
Yeah, I think our answer at Solar Technologies is pretty similar to Colin's. You know, cash is probably preferred if you're looking for the lowest possible payback period on your array. We do have financing available that you know, there are some you know, financing fees and interest, of course, associated with it, but we have a pretty easy process for getting you set up with financing if you're interested. We unfortunately are not doing lease options right now, so we just do an outright cash purchase model. So I'll leave that to Lucas then.
This is probably one of the most common questions that we get in the industry is how can we take advantage or build this investment? Just like all of us, we do provide financing solutions. At Infinity, we have over 150 different financing options, from loans to purchases to short terms and even leases and PPAs. So I'd recommend consulting every single one of us as a contractor. That way we can help best find what's going to suit your needs in regards to taking advantage of tax credits, if you can't take advantage of them, and how we can make this investment of yours a financially sound one.
Thank you for all those answers. So it sounds like there's various ways to finance this and make it work for you. And also, I think a bottom line here is that many of these options will end up saving you money no matter how you do it, right? And at the end of the day too, right, a SunShares, having folks evaluate your home for solar and give you a quote is a free process in the first place. So there's really no cost as far as that part goes. So it's maybe worth a look, even if you're not sure you want to do it. So a question also related to cost for Maggie, from Vivek, who had gotten actually a quote last year. How do we know that SunShares is truly providing a discount? So what's going on in the background so that we know that there's really a discount here and there's no sort of strange accounting going on?
Yeah, so the way that SunShares works, it's not a discount based on, you know, the flat average cost of solar across the Bay Area or across California. It's a discount off of each of our installers' usual prices. And so that's why you see some variation in the prices, because all of our installers have different business models and structures, but that's how we do it in our negotiations. is we ask our installers to show us how they are reducing the cost from what they would usually offer to their customer. And the way that we're able to negotiate for this is that a large part of the investment that a lot of solar installers have to make into each sale is customer acquisition, right? Marketing, and all of that. And we take that burden off the solar installers, meaning they don't have to put that investment into the participants that come through us. So that's where that discount comes from. And unfortunately, we can't reveal the information on publicly that they give us because that's part of their business model that's private. But I definitely invite you, I think you mentioned this in your Q&A, to compare it to similar offerings, similar panel or service offerings. And I think you'll see that it's a discount based on the quality of service that we're offering. And yeah, so you can see I put the prices into the chat, and also another attendee put our products and pricing page into the chat. And you can see all the specific panel offerings that we have, and our battery offerings, and the specific per watt prices and per unit prices for the battery that each of our installers are offering. So I definitely invite you to take a look at that. I think that's a really great question. You can definitely talk further to our installers about it as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Maggie. Appreciate the work that you're doing to get everyone a discount on solar and, storage. How cool is that? So, here's an interesting question that I think is relevant actually to the moment as well. Is with chip shortage, is there any delay in solar panel or battery availability? Lucas, do you have an answer on that one at the moment?
Certainly. That's a great question. Yes, we're all affected, obviously, by just supply chain constraints, irregardless, from chip shortage to where most of our componentry actually is being held up at the port right now, just because we need to have traceability of where products are coming from, not just from a solar industry standpoint, just as a nationwide supply standpoint. So yes, there are some supply chain constraints across the board. Not only does that affect every industry that we're involved in, it does affect solar as well. For the most part, we have distributors and supplies stateside that haven't really constrained us too much, but all of us do forecast and plan ahead on making sure that our customers are supported appropriately.
And Katie, there's a question in the chat for you. And the question is, do you remember any inconveniences during the installation process? Like being out of electricity, or just generally the paperwork or the delay on a rebate, anything like that you can speak to?
Super smooth. And yeah, no, nothing. It was great. And we have a really difficult roof, as I showed you, and it's tile. We were afraid of people walking up there, and but it went super smoothly.
That's awesome. And thank you so much for sharing that, Katie. And I know we just hit the 6:30 mark. So if anybody needs to hop off, that's awesome. And thank you so much for coming. And I personally have a few more minutes. So if anybody wants to stay on, I can keep answering questions. If anybody needs to leave, feel free to go. And I just want to speak also to the previous question that we had about supply stuff, and just tell all of you that our installers have been super proactive with all of this. It is a very rapidly changing situation. I can definitely confirm that all of our installers have been really communicative at updating their offerings and making sure that what's listed on our site and what they're offering you guys is actually going to be available. So you can definitely trust that they're doing the work behind the scenes on that.
Awesome. Looking at the chat, a lot of the questions are starting to become, I would say, more specific and maybe even a little more technical. So maybe we can hit on a couple more specific and technical questions. And if you get a chance to pop into the chat, some of these questions might be ones that we could also answer by typing in the answer as well. And I'll be honest, some of them are over my head. I'm they're over my head, but
Yeah.
I'll at least get the questions to you to answer, and hopefully someone else can make more of them than I can. One question here from Mark is, what about NEM through EBCE, which is East Bay Community Energy? How does that compare to PG&E's NEM? Is there anyone who can speak to that?
Yeah, so that's everybody in the Bay is on, except for Palo Alto, is going to be under PG&E's NEM agreement. So regardless of who your community choice aggregator is, whether it's Silicon Valley Clean Energy or San Jose Clean Energy or Peninsula Clean Energy, you're all going to be on the same PG&E NEM agreement. So there's no difference there, except for Palo Alto. That's the only exception. Or actually, and also Santa Clara as well. Santa Clara proper has their own power. I'm sorry. They have Silicon Valley Power, which is separate as well. They have their own agreement.
Okay. Okay, got it. Let's see some other technical questions in here. Questions about batteries that came up. For those of you who want to go into battery sort of nerdiness with us. Of the batteries being offered, which ones are air cooled versus having an active management system is a question. Also a question about the difference between AC versus DC coupled batteries. And just more broadly, are there any big breakthroughs on the horizon for battery technology? Colin, is that a question that you could start to answer for us? And then if anyone else
I can take a stab, but at the very first part of the question, I'm not too sure what they mean by that. About there's different types of batteries that are out there, and there's a lot of batteries that are out there. But I think what you'll find is that the battery offerings from the three companies in SunShares, we're using the more established companies that are there. As far as breakthroughs come in the future, Enphase is going to come out with microinverter that will actually help you during the daytime if you don't want to get a battery. That if PG&E knocks out your electricity during the daytime, they'll have a particular type of microinverter that'll still allow you to generate the electricity and straight into your home. So that's an interesting feature if you don't want to get a battery, because batteries are expensive, but it doesn't help you at nighttime. That's the only problem. I don't other major breakthroughs. I think some of the batteries are getting larger. LG just came out with a larger 16 kilowatt battery. Before that, they had a 9 kilowatt battery. Batteries are just extremely popular at the moment. And our difficulty, as we said, is the supply chain difficulty right now of trying to get them all here. What was the other parts of that question? I don't have the mic chat in front of me.
Another piece of that question was the difference between AC versus DC coupled batteries.
Yeah, so with the when the batteries will allow you to work on, like the Tesla Powerwall will work on any inverter that's out there, while the DC, Enphase at the moment only works on Enphase microinverters, but in the fall they will be able to work on other batteries that are out there, and the LG just works with just a few different inverters, primarily the Solar Edge. Most of the inverters that are out there, either the most popular are Solar Edge and Enphase. So if you can find a battery that works with either of those two inverters, you're kind of covering probably 90% of the market out there.
Okay, and I think the very last part is, do we have any big battery technology booms coming around the corner?
I don't see it, but I'm sure it will. I'm sure there will be, because if you look at solar, when we first got into solar, I remember we were installing 185 watt panels about 10 years ago, or in 2008, 2009. And now the smallest one we installed probably a 345 watt panel. And that's still on the same space, but the panels haven't gotten much larger or anything like that. They're just able to, technology just gets better. So I'm sure the battery will be the same thing. We'll see, a lot bigger batteries in the same sort of space that the current batteries are in, and they'll just store a lot more electricity.
Right on. Thank you for those answers. And I don't know if Lucas or Adam, you have anything you want to add around batteries, but otherwise we'll move on. Another question that did come up is about warranties, and this might be a good one for everyone to hear the answer to in general. So what kind of warranties are you all offering on your work? And then the more specific piece of this question is someone had said that they had heard of someone they'd been offered a battery with a 20-year warranty and they've never heard of that. Is that truly like a reliable warranty? And what and in general, what is like the standard that you all are offering on solar and battery warranties? Lucas, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, great question. From an industry standard, all panels and for the most part inverters come with a 25-year manufacturer warranty. The batteries themselves, they do come with a 10-year warranty, but most contractors, as ourselves at Infinity, we actually essentially purchase extended warranties, a part of our contract negotiation with these manufacturers, and pass that on to you guys. So our warranties are actually 25-year parts and labor for all componentry from solar panels to the batteries themselves. So expect your warranty to outlive most of your componentry. Solar panels and inverters themselves will typically outlast the warranty, but for the most part, when it comes to batteries, it's they're all classified from a cycle basis. So I always point my knowledge to cell phones, right? Every single time you use your phone and plug it in to be charged, that is one single cycle. Most of the batteries have anywhere between 6,000 to 10,000 cycles. So even if you were to charge and discharge your battery once a day, it's going to last longer than that 10-year time frame. But obviously consult the contractors themselves and they can go into those additional warranty features. But from Infinity's standpoint, when you get solar or a battery with us, we do cover that 25-year extended warranty on all of our componentry.
Anything to add, Adam or Colin?
Yeah, we offer a 10-year warranty is typical on batteries. I haven't seen anything longer than that, but we have for our 2 battery offerings, that's that's what we have. And 25 years is also fairly standard on solar equipment. So that's what you should expect to see. But of course, that's going to vary depending on the equipment that you purchase and who your installer is.
Ours is very similar to SunPower. I do understand you can actually purchase extended warranties. It's an additional cost on the batteries, but on the panels themselves, it's 25 years. And the degradation of them is very little, over 25 years. So they'll last a lot longer than the 25 years. And rarely, and I think you guys will agree with me, rarely do we ever have an issue with an actual panel not working. It's, if anything, it's usually a microinverter or an optimizer or something goes out, but panels, they're pretty sturdy.
Great. Well, thank you all for that. And I think that we've gone over about 10 minutes, and this might be a good time to wrap up, release our panelists back into their real lives. And if your question didn't get answered, I really encourage you to definitely sign up for SunShares so that you can talk to our installers directly and get all of your questions answered in a one-on-one conversation. If you still have questions before you sign up for SunShares, I encourage you to send me an email. I'm putting my email address into the chat, sfa.org, and I can answer all those questions that you might have before you sign up. So thank you all so much for coming out tonight. It's been really, really awesome to have all of your questions and participation. You've been a great audience, and thank you so much to all of our panelists, and Katie and Seth also for being out here and helping us all get so much out of this event. So thank you all and have a really good
Thanks,
night.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.